How we doing? Hey, exciting week this week. Obviously, we've got the spring game coming up on Saturday. A lot of fun things just around the game itself with the Gator Walk. We'll have the food trucks. Cook-off contests going on out there. They'll have bands playing. So a lot of fun activities. A lot of fun to be on campus. I know baseball's playing, tennis, lacrosse. So a lot of great fun activities. The spring game weekend every year is a lot of fun on campus. A lot of great things happening. I know for us, for all our fans, the opportunity to come out, come see some players. The last time you get to see these guys until we kick it off. But a lot of opportunity to come see some young players, guys you haven't seen before. For our fans, have kind of a fun day. We'll have a lot of recruits on campus, and just a really exciting, fun time for us. So, be a great Saturday. Should be a lot of fun. We have our guest coaches coming in this year. As we did last year, Tommy Shannon and Brian Kornblau. So a unique experience for those guys to get to see what it's like, and you can grind on them after the game or a little bit of what it is like, and to have to deal with some of the pressures we deal with on a daily basis. Be a new experience for them. So, but exciting week. We need to have a good week of practice, wrap up spring the right way, and and leave hopefully leave on a positive note and continue to build, getting ready for next season.
You know, when you leave the game on Saturday and the day's done, I mean, what do you kind of want to
like this Saturday?
Yes. What do you want to have accomplished?
Well, you're hoping to see a foundation of guys that are ready to go play, which you feel already feel good about a bunch that Saturday after. Probably felt pretty good about those. A bunch of guys before we even started spring practice that they've played a bunch of football, and you hope though that they're continuing to make improvements. For us, the biggest thing is we got to continue to build depth. So hopefully there's, we add some more guys that we feel comfortable that are ready to play, knowing we still have a summer and 25 more practices before we play a game for more guys to jump on that boat, but. To feel that comfort level as you go put the depth chart together a little bit. And I don't get caught into who's starting, who's first, who's second on the depth chart. It's more, we got this many corners are ready to play. We feel good about this many offensive linemen. We feel good about how many running backs. And I don't care really who's starting first, second, third string or whatever. Who do we feel comfortable ready to get into a game and go help us?
What's the format going to be like? Last year there was kind of like cameos from former players. It was
I haven't done all that yet. Who knows? I don't know. We still have two practices. I'm hoping. Actually, 3 practices. You're hoping that one of the things I like to try to do for the spring game, because I think it makes it a lot of fun for the players and the fans and all the experience, is split the team in 2. And you have an orange team and a blue team, and there's, injuries and depth can affect that stuff. So there's all kinds of, usually I don't even hit the format until about Friday when we know who's going to be cleared to play medically and how comfortable we are and what our rep count by player is when we meet on all those things of how it's going to shape up, and then we'll kind of figure the format out at that point. I usually always have some surprises up my sleeve. But I know the format. The game will last 2 hours on the dot.
What if it's tied?
It's a tie. Huh? Boo. Then you can boo me. You can boo me then. Maybe I'll pick something, right?
Following up on that, do you have any? It was kind of polarizing last year, maybe the people getting involved and throwing some. People want to see your offense, and they got a little bit of maybe some gimmicks. Do you have any regrets about that?
No.
About that format?
I don't think so. I thought it went pretty well last year. You always like to have fun at the games. The spring game, it's a festival day on campus. That's number one. Next opportunity is you get to come see the players, and you get to come see the team and see guys you haven't seen before. It's a great experience for people, right? It's free. Buy tickets, so people want to come to a Gator game and they don't have to pay anything, come to the game. And there's a lot of other things going around campus and a lot of other activities. So it's more like, to me, it's it's kind of a festival weekend on campus, and the game is part of the festivities more than there's festivities that surround the game. The game's part of all the festivities. So we try to have some fun while we're out there, too. I mean, guess what? We're going to win. So, yeah. Wow. Yeah, or tie. I don't know. But I mean, like afterwards, it's not like you're walking out of the stadium upset. Some of the guys are, but if you're a fan and you're all that stuff, so that's why I don't mind the fun part of it. You know what I mean? And right, I guess if you took off Lawrence Wright's touchdown last year, I don't know how that affects the score or one of those deals, but it's more about having fun.
I know you got a lot of time, but speaking of guys you're kind of comfortable with going in and playing in game type situation, how many do you feel like you have on the O-line right now?
I haven't. We're got a couple more practices. I haven't sat down to even have that meeting, so that's something we do at the end of spring.
Speaking of former players, Janoris Jenkins mentioned the other day something about possibly coming Saturday.
Cool.
By my knowledge, he hasn't been back in several years. Did he reach out to you? Or did you speak to
you know
him?
what? I think I've texted him once, being back, but I know, Janoris was here when I was here before, and played on the. He was on the 2008 national championship team, right? Am I right on that one? I don't know. That's like a long time
He was
ago.
young, I think.
He was young, but he was on the roster. He was on the team then. So I think it'd be great. I mean, guys have played, and he's got a national championship ring from being on that team. So it's great having all those guys back.
And then the scrimmage on Saturday, how did it go? Anything you see that stood out? Step forward, step back?
Yeah, there were some positives. There's a lot to teach off of for us, and a lot to show guys. I thought it was pretty positive in teaching. I like the teaching moments. You know what I mean? As I always say, to sit there and to try to feel good or bad after the scrimmage. I don't know that I feel either. I just want to make sure that we have the right teaching moments and are we headed in the right direction? Are we getting all the different stuff that we need? Because I mean, there'll be times where. I'll walk over to Todd and I say, hey, I need you to play this defense for 3 straight plays because I want to call these plays against that defense. And there'll be times he'll be like, hey, can you run these type of pass routes, and hey, get into bunch or get into empty and let's go 3 straight plays of empty so we can get it on film to teach. So, when you have a staff sometimes, I know the players are really competitive, but as I always tell the coaches, ours is making sure we're getting taught what we need taught, we're getting to evaluate what we need evaluated, and we're putting players in positions to go be successful. So overall, I'd say it was pretty successful because we have a bunch of teaching moments. We got to see guys do things and helps us make better decisions of where everybody's at.
How did the quarterbacks do? Are you pleased with the progress they've made this spring?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They've done good. They've done good. You see, a lot more comfortable in the system in year 2.
And Dan, doesn't seem like a lot of injuries. What do you attribute that to?
I don't know. I view it as a bunch. I mean, we have a bunch. We have a bunch of guys not practice. So, no injuries, none. That's a good number. So, I don't know. Our medical staff does a really good job. And Nick Savage, our guys understanding. We talk to our guys every day about, how we take care of the body, nutrition, how you take care of the body at practice, how you take care of the body off the field, making sure you're hydrating, eating, stretching, recovering properly. We spend a lot of time on how we schedule things and how we run practices on health-based of the players. That's one of the first things when we look at spring is, what's the best way to teach football? Best way to, install football, but then also what's the best for physical development if you get it with Nick Savage and that, we're not losing anything, maintaining how we lift during spring, to maintain our strengths, and then talk to the medical staff about what's the best way to spread practices out to make sure we stay healthy.
Separate note here, but pretty significant turnover in the SEC in terms of coordinators. I think it's 11 of 28, 12 if you count Moorhead taking over his head play calling duties. You almost had one here. You think you can put your finger on why that is? Is you guys they getting more attention here, coordinators, or is it just more pressure?
I have no idea, to be honest. We didn't have any at that, so I guess maybe I have to something I'll study in the off season. I certainly hope it's for better opportunities. I was here, and I had a great gig as the offensive coordinator here. We'd won 2 out of 3 national championships. Had a lot of guys coming back for probably would have been a third in 4 years. And I had a great opportunity to go become a head coach in the Southeastern Conference. And that's, very much like guys have opportunities maybe to leave early for the NFL or do that stuff. And so I haven't looked at it. I hope it's for either better opportunities or, obviously there's the other side of it where the job's not getting done and people end up losing their job.
What's the competition been like in the receiver room and specifically? It seems like there's tons of depth there.
Yeah, one of the things those guys really they understand, and I guess it's much easier year 2 because they've seen it, is the competition is about just snaps and being on the field more. I think those guys have a great understanding that I might not want to play 70 plays in a game because I'm not very effective in doing that. And so I think they understand more. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for everybody, and take advantage of your opportunities while you're out there in the field, and you're going to be a lot fresher, healthier, and a better playmaker at play 40 than you are at play 70 in a game. And so the ability to roll guys through certainly helps. So we have experience at that position, but I also think we have some maturity at that position, which helps them just roll through. They're certainly getting enough reps. I mean, I don't think you find one receiver that's going to complain about the number of reps they get at practice because we run them a bunch and they run, and in our offense they're out there a whole bunch. So they've bought into all of that.
Just how good is that room? I mean, in terms of the quality of talent.
Well, I think there's talent and there's depth, which is important. Because I mean, if you got 1 or 2 talented guys, you're either spending all your time trying to move them around to make sure they're the only ones that touch the ball, and then people are scheming against those specific players. Where if you have some depth across the board, which I'd rather have, you can get away with, you take what the defense gives you. Quarterback, you can really coach the quarterback that, hey, it doesn't matter if I throw it to 1, 2, 3, or 4. Because we have experience and talent at all 4 spots, so it's not like we have to focus on one guy. Just that as we have one guy that can do it, let's just get him the ball. It allows the quarterback to take advantage and read the defense and take what they give you.
And Tyree Cleveland's camp in particular. I mean, last year I think he had like 18 catches. I mean, the year before, better season before you got here, just wasn't great on special teams, but not so much a factor on offense. Do you see?
Well, he made some big plays for us on offense last year. He was a big factor on offense last year. So I don't get caught in the specific stat.
He just seems like he's having a very good camp to me.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job for us. He's getting better, understanding what we're doing. I don't know, he had a couple touchdowns in the scrimmage. Probably played a little bit more than because Van wasn't here. Had a family issue, so he got some more reps when you're down 1. But I thought he did a great job last year, and he's he's a guy that understands what it is to go be a team player. He's a dynamic special teams player for us as well. Made a lot of big special teams plays, which, when you become a mature guy like him, and guys in the program, when guys become mature guys, they understand that's, if you want to play after college, being a dynamic special teams player is as important as being a dynamic receiver. And when you really understand that of how critical part of the game that is, and what your factor is on the team, it's those are some of the most important plays you can ever make in a game. And as mature guys understand that, they realize that that's probably special teams more important than offense.
Hey Dan, I saw different programs have had kids go into like the transfer database and still actually practice with the team during spring. But to my knowledge, I haven't seen that happen with you guys. Is that like a steadfast rule for you, or is it a case by case basis?
Everything to me is case by case basis. If one of the guys comes in, and I mean, I'm pretty simple about everything. If they come in and say, "Hey, coach, I'd like to enter the transfer portal. I want to transfer." My first question is usually why. Just to see, because I usually, if they don't have a really good reason, I might try to talk them out of it. And say, I mean, you really need to think about it. And then my next question is, what's your plan? Because if they don't have a plan, I might try to talk them out of it again. Because we're in it for the kids. I want to see guys succeed and go on to be successful. So usually we have a discussion. And I'll talk to guys about that. I say, hey, where are you at? Do you want to be on the team through spring and see what happens and practice, or how do you want to train? How are you? What's the reason for your departure, and what's your plan on departing, and how are you going to accomplish that goal? Those are the things that we really discuss in those meetings, and so that's. I think it's tough for the guys, because then if they're thinking, hey, I'm not going to be on the team, and stuff, to be out there practicing, and just that whole mindset of being around the other players. So, but it's not a rule that we have.
Coach, can you talk about the early enrollee offensive linemen? Anybody there standing out?
Well, no, I'm just thankful that they're here, because I don't know how we'd they're asking what the spring game format. If we didn't have those guys, or spring game format would probably be more 7-on-7. I don't know if we'd play with linemen. Be more a 7-on-7 tournament type of deal. Because you're talking about 4 guys that are rotating in the 2 deep right now that are really high school seniors. So I am pleased with their development, I'm pleased with where all those guys are at, with where how they're picking things up and how they're performing. Also by experience, though, if you do throw guys in, not everybody, but if you do throw guys in and they got to go with the 1s and 2s, and a lot of times they do accelerate how fast they go, because the pressure, and there's peer pressure, and they have to. If they don't do it, it's an exposure, and we can't even practice, can't even function. But I think those young linemen have really bought in into the program, and bought into, to me, what they bought into football, because they talk football. They spend a lot of extra time trying to study and prepare themselves and be ready in case their number's called this season, which is, a lot of freshmen come in and are trying to figure it all out. And these guys, you hear them having football conversations about calls and how they're making calls, how they communicate with each other. So, hopefully, even though it's a little nerve-wracking now, it could be pretty good a couple years down the road when the same guys are still out there.
And then Chris Steele, how's he doing?
He's doing good.
He's thrown to the fire a little bit.
Yeah, same deal. He's getting reps with the top group, so he's handled that pretty well. Again, I think when you get put in with those groups, you're held to a certain standard, and so it accelerates your growth and your development, and your level of play. So I think he's had a pretty solid spring.
A lot of people get competitive with spring game attendance.
Yeah,
might even put their thumb on the scale a little bit, so to speak. Does it matter to you what the attendance is?
No, the more the better for me. And the other reason I say that is because you create the environment. You create an exciting environment for recruiting, for all the recruits that we have on campus, but also the pressure for the players, because there's a lot of guys that haven't played in front of the crowd before. So there'll be times you're going to roll some guys out there on the field that you want to see. It's one thing when we're on the practice field, and, it's not that big a deal. Or even, scrimmages are a little bit different because you're in the stadium. But now in the spring game, I'm a young player. I get to go in the stadium, and there's a lot of people watching. And that can change the psyche of an 18, 19-year-old kid. And so
I was talking about the number, too.
Yeah, it'd be great. I don't know. Did we fudge it last year? No. I think ours was legit last year. I do think some. I know this. I have fudged it before.
Oh, you've had that before?
Well, not ridiculously, but for silly stuff. Maybe the attendance matches the score of a certain game or something like that during the season. That we've done that type of stuff before.
One last one.
Huh? What game is that now? Oh. Yeah, if you go, 41,014. Yeah, 41,140, right, or something. I don't know. You kind of do stuff like that. Maybe I don't know. Have some fun. I want to give away all my tricks. You keep asking, I got tricks up my sleeve for the spring game. If I give them all away now, no one's going to be excited to find them out after. You got to like really search for them and see if you see like little things.
Is it the recruiting calendar? How challenging is it, and are you guys gotten more used to it now with the 2 early periods? It seems like it's just like unending.
Yeah,
It
I
always
think it is.
kind of was, but
I
is it
think
worse?
I think it is a little different now. I think it's been accelerated. I think it's changed, which I think it's interesting to see, though. What's amazing is you take there's a bunch of sports that used to have really like early recruiting. And by NCAA rule, they've changed it backwards. They've slowed everything way, way, way down. And then football, we keep accelerating up. And, so it kind of doesn't make sense, like with the NCAA, which way they want to go with that. These sports had a lot of early recruiting. That wasn't successful, so let's slow them way down. But while we're doing that, let's accelerate football and speed that way up. But it is what it is, and I mean, we just, you just adapt and you move on, I mean, we had the officials on campus this weekend. They did the SEC officials meeting here. You talk to those guys and they'll ask certain questions. I said, well, whatever rules are made, we're going to find a way to adapt and, and we'll tweak and change around what we think's best for the game. The hardest one, though, is I don't know that the coaches have all that much say in how things get changed.
You guys good? Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, no problem.
Dan, who was the other coach? I know Tommy Sheehan.
Yeah, and Brian Kornblau.
Who was he?
Brian? Brian was the youngest bull gator ever. He always is bragging. That was a big deal for him, like not letting brag.
Oh, yeah, a player.